Welcome, folks, to episode 251 of the Healthy Habit Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Dayan of Healthy Habit Medical Center, located right inside Healthy Habit Health Foods. If you're new to the show here, we release a podcast about 2-3 times a week throughout the month, about 10, 11 episodes a month. So you don't want to miss a beat here. We're keeping you guys informed with fresh products coming out, why someone should consider a product over another. And we're always bringing on national educators here from various companies to tell us what's new and hot here on the shelves at Healthy Habit Health Foods. And of course, we've got the legend with us here today, coming in for our weekly check-in with our monthly check-in here with Emerald Labs, the additive-free company. And this is the amazing Stacy Faulkner, who's here with us, who's worked in the natural health industry for 25 years now. And she's the National Educator over at Emerald Labs. Stacy, we appreciate you coming on today. How are we doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well, enjoying the fall weather. Really enjoying
Yes,
the fall weather. And the
likewise.
large moon that's been, I know this won't record or it won't be broadcast for a bit, but I've had that harvest moon the last few nights. It's just
Uh-huh.
been fantastic. You probably have much clearer skies out in your
Right.
area. But
Yeah. Used to be clear, but now as the population's gone up here in Phoenix, it's not as clear with more cars and stuff. But yeah, definitely. And
and
it's my
light pollution.
favorite season as well, the fall. I love the fall.
Me too,
So
long shadows.
speaking of fall, as we transition to the winter here, we got to start building up that immune system, right? We don't want to wait until we're sick or we get the sniffles. We already see an uptick of customers and patients here at the store and clinic coming in with different types of sinus congestion, coughs, feeling the body aches, headaches, fatigue. Their kids are getting sick at school. So it's good to be on a preventative basis, taking care of things before they get full blown. Or even if you feel things they're starting to come on, what we're going to talk about today will help hopefully shorten the duration of different types of winter, fall types of illnesses. So where do you want to start us off with, Stacy?
Well, I mean, when we talk about immune, and we can probably talk about this on our next show too, we can look at formulas that Emerald Labs offers in the form of like an advanced liposomal vitamin C. We have it's a patented vitamin C with a 12-hour protection. It's water and fat soluble, so it's bound to citrus bioflavonoids. Um, so it makes it water soluble, bound to vegetable fatty acids, so that allows it to be fat soluble. Normally, vitamin C has a 4-hour retention. So this patented, with human clinical studies, stays in the system for 12 hours. And we've actually added, and a lot of people are familiar with the benefits of vitamin C for immune. So there's so many things. We're trying to avoid the sniffles. We're trying to keep those cells healthy. We're trying to avoid even just, the flu where there are really aches and pains. So like you said earlier, well, I was going to say that we've added alpha lipoic acid in a reduced form to the vitamin C. That tends to act like a little paramedic in the course of when an antioxidant, and in this case, of vitamin C, the PureWay-C, starts to die off because it's been free radically scavenging all day. So it starts to extinguish on itself or die off. The alpha lipoic acid tends to pump a little bit more life into that antioxidant. And so we're talking about the vitamin C. So we made that more of a specific Emerald Labs formula by adding that ALA. And ALA is in the reduced form. I mean, I really love alpha lipoic acid. Really great for the liver protection. I would say really great for the lung protection as well. And then combine that with the vitamin C. And I remember you saying a while ago, did you say you take like 5 to 8,000 a day of
Right.
vitamin C?
Yep. Exactly.
I
Most
mean,
days, sometimes even
yeah.
more. Yeah.
Well, so do you have to recommend people before we say that, because obviously you're the doctor, right? But would I want to would I want to know if I can process that much vitamin C right away? Would I have to get a test for that? Or am I able just to dose my vitamin C throughout the day in high
Yeah.
doses? Like,
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't take it all at once because you
right.
don't absorb it all.
Sure.
Even 1,000, we don't necessarily, unless you're doing like a liposomal, compared to an IV of vitamin C, which is
Right.
100% absorption. But that's why it's good to dose it throughout the day, so you're getting those spikes, peaks
Mm-hmm.
throughout the day instead of one. It's called a bolus, bolus, just one
Mm-hmm.
bolus in the morning, one spike, and then nothing for the rest of the day. But yeah, when you take an oral vitamin C, we do know that you're not absorbing it 100%. That's why it's key to do it throughout the day, so you're at least maximizing as much as you can. And Stacy, there's no real blood test necessarily for vitamin C oral absorption that I've
Or is
heard
it,
of or come
or
across.
then would it be like, would it be a, like a genetic test or something, some kind of test, or do you just say go
What we
through the
do, what we'll check for people is something called a G6PD enzyme, glucose 6
Mm.
phosphate dehydrogenase, for
Uh-huh.
vitamin C IVs
Okay.
tolerance for when we're going to start a patient on 25 grams or more, which is 25,000 milligrams
Mhm.
of vitamin C in the IV route. We test something called a G6PD to make
Okay.
sure their cells can tolerate it and they don't lyse or blow up, basically lysis of the blood cells when the vitamin C
Yeah.
is coming in.
I think that's important for people to know, specifically supplementation, just like you said, taking a bolus all at once. And a lot of people will just do it all at once in the morning and then nothing else throughout the
Right.
day. And if you do divide it up, especially if something says three with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 3 times a day, I think that's
There we go. We just lost Stacy there for a moment. So you were saying to the value of stretching out vitamin C throughout the day, maybe including it with each meal.
yes, yes. And I think you concur with that. Like you said earlier, the bolus. And so I think a lot of people do that just to get it out of the way.
Right.
Uh, I've been known to do that as well, but I think as you get more and more educated about supplementation and what your liver and what everything can what can actually get into the blood plasma is super important, right? So the vitamin C, the Emerald Labs vitamin C, the PureWay-C, it's 2 little capsules at 500. So you could take one in the morning and then you could take one around lunchtime. If you feel like you need more supplementation for the vitamin C, especially through the fall season, or you're working with some immune issues already, then you can up your dose, like what you were saying, Doc, that up to 8,000, but throughout the day, and make sure that it's something that, you know, that you're not taking too much of.
Right. And I'm going to do a quick screen share here on vitamin C as PureWay-C,
Mm.
doctor formulated as always here by Dr. Mark Stangler, the man behind Emerald Labs formulations, who we've had on the podcast before and hope to have him on again in the future. He's the naturopathic medical doctor behind the scenes there, formulating all the Emerald products. And again, the additive free company. We're not adding anything else into these formulas. It's just a vegetable capsule, the hypromelose or hypromelose, and then
Hmm.
water as well. That's the only other ingredient in there, just the capsule. And this particular product, again, it's called PureWay-C, and this is a registered trademark version of vitamin C. It's the liposomal absorption. So I always like to tell customers and patients this is like the best way orally to take in vitamin C if you're not getting IVs, which is obviously 100% absorbed in the bloodstream. But the next best would be a liposomal oral version, where it's combined in this case with alpha lipoic acid, giving a 12-hour retention. So tell us a bit more about PureWay-C. I've gone through several bottles of this stuff,
Yeah.
and the benefit here, I'll add one more thing, is you might not need to take 2,000 all at once if you're taking the liposomal version. It's going to be absorbed at a higher level than a typical vitamin C capsule, right, Stacy?
Right. And so this is a project verified non-GMO ascorbic acid. So before it becomes the PureWay-C, and then once we got it into the capsules, it's 500 per 2 capsules, and they are very small capsules. And the hypermelanosis that you were just pointing out earlier, those are quick dissolving, a 2 shell hard cap. It's a non-GMO, project verified wood pulp capsule. And in this case, it's coming from pine bark. So a lot of people don't know to the extent that Emerald Labs really goes to for the cleanliness of the ingredients we're using, to, the types of bottles we're using, to the capsules we're using. And so 2 capsules guaranteed at 500 for the absorption here we're looking at, and then adding the alpha lipoic acid. And people can take, if they want to take two more, 4 day would be 1,000. But a selling point on this bottle too is it's a 45-day supply. So we've added extra capsules in there to 90 count. So it's a 45-day supply in case there are people that want to take more than 500 a day.
Right. And remind our listeners, why is it being combined with the alpha lipoic acid?
Because it actually pumps a little bit more life, or people can say that it uptakes or regenerates, upcycles the extinguishing antioxidant, and in this case, the vitamin C. So I like to say it acts like a little bit like a paramedic and pumps a little bit more life into that extinguishing antioxidant.
Right, just helps it work better. They work better
Yeah.
together than when they're apart. And this, I would even add, can help potentially, we're not giving advice here, but in the neuropathy world, a
Yes.
lot of people don't realize vitamin C can help in cases of neuropathy. So if you ever had that diagnosis, or if you've been dealing with it for many years, for those who don't know, neuropathy is basically numbness, burning, tingling sensation in the usually ends of the fingers or the
Yeah.
feet. It can happen really anywhere, but that's typically where it is, hands and feet. And vitamin C helps with that as well. Vitamin C is an analgesic, like
Yeah.
Tylenol or aspirin. It helps with pain and nerve discomfort. And of course, alpha lipoic acid, that's one of its classic uses, is in the neuropathy world, right?
Right, right. And I know it's only 25 in here, but it's a good
Sure.
start. Somebody wants to just add it to this.
Right.
There's no way that you can go wrong with alpha lipoic acid. I think if we're really looking at neuropathy too, you can look at good quality reduced alpha lipoic acid to add to your regimen for, start with the 300 and then have a 300 a little bit later. I like to add the alpha lipoic acid um, to my B complex, my B healthy that I take because I believe it keeps my B complex staying in my system longer since it's water soluble. I
Yeah.
like that antioxidant protection throughout the body for the ALA. Yeah, and so yeah, I like the PureWay-C a lot. Like you said, you went through quite a few bottles. I've gone through quite a few bottles too, and it is something
Yeah.
that's the first thing I can take because I can take it on an empty tummy, and
Right,
then
and just to remind everyone, yes, two capsules only gives you 500 milligrams.
yes,
Okay, but it's the liposomal version.
yeah,
It's the
right.
Pure Whey C version. You guys can research Pure Whey C if you literally just type in Pure Whey C on Google and add
Mhm.
the word health, and then of course scholar. Add that word scholar at the end. It's going to filter out like blog posts and random blog posts from websites, and
Mm.
you can read the trademark registered ingredient, specifically how it's been studied in the medical research as a specific form. So if you're comparing side by side with other vitamin C products, you might look at one and say, wait, this one gives me 1,000 milligrams in just one capsule, but it's not going to be the PureWay-C version of vitamin C. So every detail counts when you're looking at these supplement facts behind or on the back of supplement bottles. The suggested is to take 2 capsules every 12 hours, but always work with your doctor. It doesn't have to be with food necessarily. It's a water soluble vitamin, unlike vitamins A, D,
Right.
E, and K, which are fat soluble, work better with food. Vitamin C, you don't necessarily have to take it with food. So, folks,
And
if
these
you're,
are very,
yeah,
very, very tiny little capsules. And so we do have
yeah,
with
that's
or
right.
without
They
food,
tiny. Yeah,
2 capsules every 12 hours. So you can stretch it out. You can do two right in the morning. You can do two in the afternoon if we want, if somebody's looking for more support from the vitamin C. Um, but one thing too is like customers sometimes don't understand, like you said, if somebody's taking something that's 1,000 milligrams, look at the form that it is, because they could maybe only be
yeah,
absorbing the elemental level, which is going to break down, and that's only what you absorb. So the body's got
yeah,
to break it down. It's got to metabolize it. It's got to be able to get into a nice small molecule to get through the mucosal lining, right, and be absorbed into that
exactly.
plasma level. So tiny little capsules. So I know we've talked about PureWay-C, but this is a very affordable product. It's completely additive free, gluten free. It's 100% non-GMO. It's vegan. Um, and the bottom line is it's a 12-hour retention versus a 4-hour retention.
Yes, that's huge. That's a big deal. That's 3x longer than a typical vitamin C supplement, which is out of
Mhm.
your system within 4 hours. This one has been produced specifically to be around for at least 12 hours in the system. And that's just their suggestion is on the bottle every 12 hours, take two. Me personally, I've done two every couple
Yeah,
hours
yeah.
throughout the day. So that's just, I'm not giving advice to do that, but I've done that for a lot of clients as well, for patients here at the store, which was specifically prescribed by me. So we're just trying to put this type of vitamin C in general on your radar. So thank you. That's Pure Way C, folks. By the way, come talk to Stan. You know the rest, the demo man. He's here, folks, every Tuesday through Saturday at Healthy Habit Health Foods here. By the way, we're at 6029 North 7th Street. Stan will be demoing what's it called here? Sorry, Emerald Labs products. My fault on that.
Mm.
Stan will be demoing them right here at Healthy Habit. He'll have samples, literature, coupons, and everyday low specials for all the products that we're discussing here today with Stacy Faulkner from Emerald Labs, the additive-free company. Just come in, make a right, and come talk to Stan, the demo man, and he'll get you guys your PureWay-C and the others that we're about to cover here with Stacy. So again, vitamin C, critical player for immune system health. We know that that's a fact. Thousands of papers at this point studying vitamin C. One that
Mhm.
we're going to cover here is called methylfolate with L5 methyl tetrahydrofolate. Say that 10 times real fast.
Right, right.
But folate's critical for the classic is to prevent neural tube defects, during pregnancy,
Pregnancy.
critical for preventing that, like spina bifida and encephaly in infants, helps close the neural tube. But we also need it for cell growth and development, essential for the production of DNA and RNA, building blocks of all of the cells of the human body. It makes it vital for not only fetal development, but also through adult life, and of course the immune system, which is what we're highlighting here today. You need folate to produce red blood cells in the proper way. If your red blood cells aren't functioning right, your immune system won't be either. It's not just the white blood cells that are critical for the immune system. So where do you want to start us off with? Not to mention, it also helps reduce the risk of certain types of cancers. Of course, I just said improves immune function, but promotes healthy skin and
Cardiovascular.
hair, heart health. Yeah,
Yeah, heart health, homocysteine, folate, like getting getting the cysteine to convert into methionine. So
right,
homocysteine support, which is really important for American women, because heart disease is the number one killer. I mean, folate's good for mood regulators, right? And our neurotransmitters. Folate folate helps the egg stick, healthy pregnancy.
right.
Obviously associated with all the rest of the essential B vitamins. Um, DNA synthesis and repair, you said you talked about neurotube defects, red blood cell formation.
Yeah.
I think it's really important for some adrenal gland support combined with the B12, B6. Obviously, we're just talking about folate right now, but
Can I
and
hit three more? I want to hit
yes,
three
please,
more
yeah, yeah.
specifics for folate and the immune system. Three real
Mhm.
specific ones. It helps regulate our inflammatory pathways. It helps reduce inflammation by inhibiting something called NF kappa beta, the signaling pathway, which basically it's a pathway you need to fight off infections appropriately. It's involved in immune signaling. So it helps produce molecules that help signal immune cells to come to where they're supposed to come and fight off invaders. Number three, there's studies that show deficiency in folate, or if you're at suboptimal levels, it can reduce the body's ability to fight off infections since it lowers something called phagocytosis and the T cell responses. It impairs those if you're not where you need to be for folate. So super important for the immune system, and that's a good segue into methylfolate, the 800 micrograms. I'm gonna do a screen share. Get us started on this one,
So
Stacy.
this
The
is
methylfolate.
Yeah, so this is brand new. There does seem to be kind of an overt deficiency in in America. I can't speak around the world, but
Right.
folate, I would say that folate, if our body is the circus and it wants to be the greatest show on earth and we have a band, it would be the B vitamins and folate would be the band leader. That's how I would say. So it's super important. Um, so also I think it's important to let people know that you keep saying folate. It's L5 methyl tetrahydrofolate. It's methylfolate for the B9. We do not at Emerald Labs use any form of folic acid. Folic acid is the synthetic isolate. It's basically the synthetic acid, the isolate, whereas the methylfolate is the active form of B vitamin, which the benefits are used directly by the body, directly in the mucosal through the mucosal lining into the bloodstream. So when you see the banner on the front of that label there, that green banner, L5 methyl tetrahydrofolate, we're showing the consumer right there that we're using the active form, the methylated form of methylfolate. So consumers need to really just kind of get folic acid out of their regimen, and because folate is so affordable nowadays, and it's an active form, and so it's much easier on the liver. It's less work for the liver, and it's ready to go past go. It's just ready to be utilized right away in the system. So really important. The food sources would be like spinach, lentils, liver, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, leafy greens. Um, there's some fruit and fruit juices. There's like beans, like lentils and peas. Um, some dairy products, some meat, some poultry. So there's a lot of food sources for you to get your folate in. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's a big deficiency out there. And so, especially if people are taking folic acid as their B9, and if they have a genetic variant, and a variant just means it's just a polymorphism, just means something different. So the DNA is mutating. And if certain people have this genetic variant, the MTHFR genetic variant, they're unable to properly convert synthetic folic acid into the proper methylfolate that the body's going to use. So we have to have the body have methylfolate to be utilized. So folic acid has got to be processed through the liver, specifically into folate. And if people have a genetic variant that does not allow them to properly convert the folic acid into folate, then they're going to be looking at issues with not having proper folate protection or the benefits. And so the folate really
Right.
works with the 12, the 6, the 9, the rest of the B vitamins. And we're looking at, you know, the mood regulators, our serotonin, our dopamine, our norepinephrine, or people will call them neurotransmitters. So super important for pregnancy. If there's no folate, no egg can stick. So no, there's a lot of miscarriages or infertility going on with people that have this MTHFR genetic variant. And
Right.
so this is a huge issue. So I think just people understanding that right there, that this is folate. Um, so, I mean, deficiencies can occur from poor diet, from too much alcohol, from malabsorption disorders, people that, folate deficiency can happen. They're just certainly not getting enough malabsorption or they're not eating enough malnourishment. Okay. So then the brain will start to go, the cognitive things can start to happen. Um, there's
Yeah.
certain medications that deplete folate that a lot of people don't know. So if you have like rheumatoid arthritis, the methotrexate, right, will deplete your folate.
Right.
What I understand too, um, birth control pills can absorb or can affect the folic acid conversion or the absorption of folate too, right?
100%. And I want to
Yes,
add another thing on the, you mentioned the
please.
MTHFR,
Yes.
which is a common, extremely common genetic mutation, folks. I want people to have this on their radar. Now, it doesn't mean that they have this severe version of it, but it is extremely common to at least have that mutation, which literally can affect up to 40% of people which are carrying some variant of this MTHFR gene.
Hmm.
And 30 to 50% of the population may have this, in general. So I said 40, but in general, on average, is 40. But 1 in 10,000, 50,000 can have the severe one. But we're trying to be preventative, anyways. It's better to take the one that the body knows what to do with exactly, which is this methyl tetrahydrofolate version, instead of just the folic acid. So we're trying to be preventative, stay ahead of the curve as well. So not only early fetal development, like I was saying, immune system health, but also mood, sleep, and cognition, cardiology. Very important in the world of cardiology and heart health, with regulating blood pressure, arterial health, red blood cell production, and much more. So you said this is one of the newer products at Emerald, Stacey?
Yes, it's one of the newer products. And also one thing to note too, if somebody does have MTHFR genetic variant, this is really, really important to have it in your regimen.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I mean, if you're taking those medications like I talked about, if you also are suffering from like, if you have weakness or you have fatigue, if you have heart palpitations, if you've got headaches, if you've shortness of breath, you could be looking at a folate deficiency.
Yeah.
And so I'm always going to recommend a complete B complex, and we do offer the B healthy, which has got 400 mcgs of the folate, which is standard for the RDA. But like I said earlier, and you can concur that the B vitamins are easily depleted in the system, and that can be as simple as stress, alcohol, um, a competitive environment, which could be that could be stress, um, a poor diet. So
Right.
this is really important. So to keep the B vitamins in if you have this genetic variant in THFR, whether it be the CT or the TT, which is the strongest of the one, the weakest of the part of the gene, the mutation, um, which is what I have. I have the 677TT. I've got actually both of the genetic variants, and so I have to be really careful with the folate. And when I look into doing the injections, I mean the IVs, well, I've got a local place here for the IVs that I'd like to do. I can't do the IV of the B complex because it's folic acid,
Mm,
and they don't have the IVs
I
in the
see.
form of folate. You guys don't either, do you? She was explaining just doesn't exist.
Right, they don't compound those typically.
Okay,
Mm,
yes. And so that's really disappointing because I would love to, get it in through there. But folate's super important. So if you're taking the B complex, if you're taking um if you're taking the I was reading this what you got up here. Or like a one a day, our one a days have the folate in there, the methyl folate, but it's only at 200. So you're still going to have to bring more on board.
yeah,
So if you didn't want a whole nother B complex, the 800 of the methyl folate plain to add to your regimen. That's what I used to do, or what I do until this just came out. And so I'm just switching brands now, going back. I'm going to go to Inland Labs, but it's an additive free. It's a capsule. The one I was taking before was a compressed tablet, so it's got
yeah,
vitamins in there. And so, um, yeah, so folate's really important. I guess we could go on and on about
right.
folate because the importance of
And
it.
that
And
was
the folic acid, just please be aware that folic acid has to be converted and it's a several time process. And if you can just get yourself some methylfolate or get yourself a B complex or a multi that has the methylfolate in it,
right.
it's just less work for your body to have to convert that into the active form of the beautiful methylfolate that our body needs.
So some quick take homes there is PureWay-C as vitamin C, the liposomal version, enhanced absorption, 12-hour retention in the body versus 4 hours, typical of most vitamin C supplements, and the role that folate plays not just in preventing neural tube defects, spina bifida, and encephaly, things like that, but also for red blood cell production, the immune system. That's been the highlight of today. These are, one of the lesser known products or supplements that could help support a healthy immune system through the fall and winter months is folate. You want to look for the methyl tetrahydrofolate version to support optimal absorption, to stay ahead of the curve for just in case you're dealing with any MTHFR mutations. And that might be a good pair for the immune system here as we get through
Yeah,
the colder months. Vitamin C and folate. What's a good
right.
take home? I wish we can go for another hour, Stacy, but it was
I
short and
know.
sweet, straight to the
One
point.
other thing, one other thing is I was just recently learning about is the new prescription that's out called leucovorin, and it's a B9, but it's prescription leucovorin.
Okay.
And what they discovered are the certain types of autism, not the whole spectrum, but certain types of autism cause autism. It's cerebral folate deficiency. And so the leucovorin has been shown with specific autisms to really bring speech back,
Wow.
um, cognitive, eye contact, interaction, social. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are if somebody would be looking into, 800 of this folate, that's methylfolate, that might be helpful. And obviously we're not diagnosing,
Right.
but this one child that I was reading on the research really just came right out of stuff. But you can take too much folate too. So we need to
Exactly.
warn people that too much excessive folate is super important to avoid too, because yeah, that's you
Right.
don't want too much of unmetabolized folic acid.
Right. We'd have to sit down and do the blood work to really know where we're at. And I just pulled up the leucovorin there. That's something I'd want to dive deeper into in the research.
Yes,
Looks like it's called folinic acid instead of folic
yes.
acid, which
Mm-hmm.
is like you said, it's a prescription form and it's a
Yep.
reduced folic acid, but it's used to reduce the toxic effects of certain chemotherapy drugs. And it's really interesting. So most commonly as an antidote after high dose methotrexate therapy. That's something I want to
Right.
dive into for sure. But in the meantime, like as a gentle way, you can consider the Be Healthy version or just the methyl tetrahydrofolate that we covered here today.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's one thing I do want to encourage here as a closing thought. Make sure you guys are getting your blood tested for get it like a full iron panel. Check your B12 levels, serum, vitamin B12 levels, as well as folate, because those are the three most common types of anemia. You can either be iron deficient anemic, you can be B12 deficient
Megaloblastic, yeah,
anemic,
megaloblastic
yeah,
anemia or pernicious anemia.
or the folate deficiency anemia. So
Yeah,
you want to rule
yeah,
those out. But then there's also anemia of chronic disease, which is the
right.
one that you'll see in elderly as well as in
Okay.
cancers and things like that. So Stacy, whenever you come on, we always cover a lot and we try to jam pack it here in 25, 26 minutes or
You
so.
too.
So we'll have to
Appreciate
end
that.
it there.
Hey,
But I look forward to our next one as always, my dear. So
okay.
emeraldlabs.com, folks. Emeraldlabs.com.
The
And come
additive
talk
free
to us,
company.
the additive free company. Absolutely. Say hi to Dr. Mark Stangler for me. And
Okay.
folks, come talk to Stan, the demo man. He's in house. Appreciate your time, Stacy, as always.
All right.
Thank
Talk to you
you.
later. Have a good weekend then. Bye.